Lovely to see you today. Here I am with a wonderful Helen Foster. Hello, Executive Coach.
Hello.
I'm just waiting for people to join us. Hello to all of those people who are joining us. This is Susie Walker from Psychology Magazine with a lovely ruby back wax on our cover. Today we're talking about reinventing our career and pivoting our career. And Helen is an executive coach, but more than that, she has great expose of pivoting, because you've pivoted many times, Helen.
I have. That's right.
Tell me, you've gone from being a theatre director? No,
I worked in stage management very briefly. I thought that was going to be my thing because I love drama and love storytelling, and I just love the whole atmosphere that you get within a theatre with the team and the backstage crew and the cast. And the live interaction with the audience. It's really special. And I thought I was going to do that, and I nearly packed in university to go and do it, but something kept me at uni, and I'm glad that I did stay, because university is quite an important time for growth when you're young, and you can't repeat that experience, not in the same way. And then always in the back of my mind was this idea that I wanted to work for the BBC. My dream job was working for the BBC, and actually it was probably BBC drama. But I had quite a few absolutely hopeless interviews where I was just trying to be someone that I wasn't. So I didn't get those jobs, needless to say. And I had to get some money. I had to think quickly. And so I had to pivot again my ideas of what I was going to do. And I ended up in a career library, that memory serves. And I picked up a leaflet about public relations. And I'm just looking through it, and I was thinking, oh, I can do this, I can do that. And I was ticking lots of boxes. And off I went, and I worked in PR for 4 years. And I would go so far as to say it was pretty average experience. I mean, I wasn't bad at it, but my heart wasn't in it. Because always in the back of my head was that I wanted to work for the BBC. And so, don't get me wrong, PR was a fantastic experience. I was working for the food industry. I was eating out with journalists at the best restaurants in London. Not that I appreciated they were the best restaurants in London, but at the time. But it was great. But there were some things, like I say, it was not sitting well with me. It didn't feel true to what I wanted. And when I noticed that, I said, well, I really want to work for the BBC. How can I do that and not give up my job? Because obviously you still need to pay the rent, don't you? And I went off to work in local radio. I worked at BBC Radio Surrey on a Saturday on the sports programme, mainly talking about hockey, or reporting on hockey, because that was my sport. Not many hockey reporters around at that time. And during that time, an advert came up for a trainee reporter, and I applied for it. And after a series of this time successful interviews, I made it through the 5,000 other applicants to be one of the 12 that got in. And, I got my dream job. When I was 28, I got to do the job that I really wanted to do. And I was a reporter. I had the chance to be a presenter. I had the chance to get access to all sorts of people and experiences that you wouldn't normally have. I read the news. I produced some fantastic presenters. I had some amazing experiences, traveled the world. And then, Susie, one day, it wasn't after 16 years, but 7 years before it actually happened, the BBC decided they were going to move my job to the northwest, to Salford. And which is great for some people, but once again, something wasn't sitting quite right with me. It seemed like a great opportunity, and it was a great opportunity for lots of people. But for me, there was something not quite right about it. And once again, it was my heart that wasn't in it. The heart, that feeling that, yes, this is something that I must do. And I think in that time that I've been with the BBC, I had changed and my values had changed. So the reason I got up in the morning had become completely different. I had two small children by then, and I was coasting a bit. You know how it is. It's when you've got small people, you just want to keep the status quo as it is. And it got to a point where I just thought, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay with the BBC and move to Salford, go to Media City? Am I going to stay with the BBC and try and find a job down in London? Am I going to jump ship to another media company? If so, what would I do? Or am I going to do something completely different? And the problem is, which I think a lot of people find, and maybe experiencing now, even with the pandemic and the experience of lockdown, and you're doing lots more thinking about, is this right for me, what I'm doing now, is that you don't actually really appreciate what it is you really, really want. And
how do we do that? So, how do we do that? So what I'm hearing is you follow your heart. And I think they say in the middle of a pandemic, I haven't got the luxury of following my heart.
No.
So people might be listening to you and going, okay, brilliant. This is somebody who's pivoted to create, who's pivoted to be a coach.
4 times.
4 times. So, which is what we're talking about in the magazine this month, is Reinventing.
Absolutely.
So how do we do it? Where do we start? So if someone's listening to this, like, I can't do my old career anymore. Either you've been made redundant or the pandemic has made you rethink that. Where do you start in looking for a new career?
I think you start looking inside, first of all. You have to decide and discover what you really, really want to do. And that is a question of being quite disciplined and firm with yourself to understand what your values and your motivations are. And that's what I hadn't done, you see. I didn't work out what was important to me and what motivated me when I was leaving the BBC. I just jumped ship, which I would not recommend to anybody. That's not a good idea. It's not a great career move. It's a bit scary financially. So what I recommend to people is to discover and think about, go inside and work out what it is they want to do. And you have to ask yourself lots of questions. What's important to me? What's not important to me? What am I willing to compromise on? What am I not willing to compromise on? I didn't want to commute. That was not my thing. I did not want to be commuting anymore. I wasn't prepared to work during the week because my children were at home. Happy to work at weekends because my husband was around to look after the kids. But I had to work out what it was I really wanted. And I also had to investigate as I've said, my values and the motivations that I had to get up in the morning, because it's that internal compass, that thing inside you, which is, I think, is part of what your heart is. I appreciate what you're saying, that when you're in a pandemic, when it's in lockdown and you can't jump ship, don't do it. Don't do it. It's just stay where you are for the moment. But hold on to by identifying what your values are and what your motivations are, you can then work out what you might want to do. And as it says in the magazine, it says do a skills audit. So once you've identified what your values are and what's important to you and what you want, you then go through and work through all your skills, write them all down in a way that you can see all the things that you do in your job on one side of a piece of paper, for example, and what this actually means on the other. So maybe you're writing, I think one of the examples in the magazine is writing reports. That might be a sign that you're good at writing. Some people are rubbish at writing, hopeless at writing, and hate writing. So that would be a good place to begin. And then after you've done a skills audit, you might want to start looking at your values, your motivations, the skills that you have. What might they contribute to finding a job that works for you? What are you passionate about? What are you interested in? What do you really care about? And but you have to do your research. There's no point in saying, I want to be a Michelin-starred chef if you can't actually cook. it doesn't work, does it? You've got to do the groundwork first to get the skills, make sure you've got the skills to be the Michelin star chef. Lots of hard work if you're going to do that, I'd say. So when you've done your research and you've got some ideas, you can then review your skills. Because when you're reviewing the skills, you can see where you've got some gaps. And when you've got gaps, when you know what those gaps are, you can then work out what you need to do to fill those gaps. But the very first step to answer your question, Susie, is what do people do? You've got to be finding out deep down inside what it is you really want, what it is you want to do next.
I mean, what I find with a lot of because my background is coaching, and what I always found when people were trying to change career, that they say, "Oh, I want to do this," but then they limit themselves. But that I can't do that. So they might have a vision, or they might know what they want, or they say, "That's what I really want to do," but I can't do that because they're not confident enough, or they have a belief. So how do we overcome the things that stop us, the obstacles that get in the way? Sometimes it's things like, I can't afford to train to be an X, Y, and Z because I've got a family to support, or da da da. So there are physical and practical obstacles, but there's also those inner obstacles like lack of self-belief or lack of confidence. How do we acknowledge the obstacles and overcome them?
I think those obstacles often come under one big umbrella, and it's fear. And we're scared of what might go wrong. And if we make a wrong decision, and if it doesn't turn out how we are expecting. And from my coaching experience, the best way to handle those fears, those obstacles, is to identify if they're going to happen. And if they're going to happen, where they're going to happen, and how they might happen. And once you've identified those, you can then take steps, very simple steps, they don't have to be big steps, to make them happen less. So, for example, I got very anxious when I started working for myself. When I first started working for myself, because I just sort of went, right, I'm not going to do any other work. I'm just going to do coaching. And that created an anxiety, exactly as you said, about not having any money coming in on a regular basis. So I had to identify what was making me so anxious and therefore stopping me doing the coaching. And I reckoned, my own personal assessment was that it was because I didn't have a regular income. Okay, I was used to the corporate life and I was used to having a regular income. So I found myself another job, a job that created a regular income. I didn't want a job that would take up too much of my time or my energy, because my focus was coaching and Helen Foster coaching. But the key was it relieved the anxiety about not having a regular income. It reduced the fear about not succeeding, and it made me feel more relaxed and therefore able to do the coaching and be better for my clients. It's never easy. That's my personal solution. Everyone else has their own ways of doing it. But I think you know deep down inside how you can solve your problems. It's just tapping into them and bringing them out to take the action in order to relieve that fear and anxiety. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. I think it's really, really wise. I mean, I always say that it takes 3 years to fully pivot your career. Mm-hmm. There's that awful thing of that in between stage where you haven't quite got enough money, whether it's a new business or you're retraining. It takes a while, and there's that bit in the middle where you're kind of doing 2 jobs at the same time. And you're actually a lot of people kind of working in the evening. They're going 9 to 5 and then 5 to 9 while they're doing both. It's exhausting. But there's nothing that drains your energy more, isn't it, than when you've got no money coming in. So it's having, what I love what you're saying is that you have a vision, it's built on your values, it's based on, you're listening to your heart, you're listening to the whispers of, your heart and going, yes, I'm going to do this. It might take you a while. You've got to be practical and grounded about it.
Absolutely.
Get a job to pay the bills while you're retraining or building up your clientele or building up your Instagram account. But now, more than ever before, is a brilliant time to reinvent your career. It's really good. This is really stellar advice today. Thank you so much for your time. We can find you down below with all the different links below. It's Helen Foster Coaching, is that right?
That's right, it's Helen Foster Coaching, and I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook. So you can find me there. And all my colours are actually your lovely top that you're wearing, Susie, pink. I love my pinks.
It's time. It's time. Helen, so brilliant to talk to you today. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. Thank you for sharing your experience about how we can all pivot our career if we, build our confidence and do it slowly and take the baby steps. But I think more than anything, the thing I'm taking away is, follow your heart. If you follow your heart, which is, again, what I've always done in my career pivots, there's a way to do it, but find a way also to support yourself in a practical and grounded way as you do it.
Absolutely, because you don't want to be held back by that anxiety and that fear that stops you doing what you really want to do.
Yes. Let's nothing stop us doing what we really want to do.
Be bold.
Be bold. Thank you, Helen. Lots of love.
You're more than welcome.
Bye.
Lots of love.